Hi, I'm Petersen, and I am going to tell you a bit about my article entitled "What is the Causal Interpretation of Sibling Comparison Designs?" published in Epidemiology, and this was work conducted at the University of Copenhagen together with my colleague Thijs Lange. So the sibling comparison design is a popular tool for dealing with unobserved confounding in observational studies. And while it does implicitly control for certain types of unobserved confounding, it's not really been clear whether the effect produced by sibling comparison designs is really a causal one or if it's just something that's free of confounding. So this is the question that we have addressed, and what we want to know is specifically whether the effect targeted by sibling comparison designs can be described as an effect of a well-defined hypothetical intervention, because in that case we can actually interpret it very much in the same way as we usually do with causal effect estimated from randomized trials. And what we have done was to formulate a formal mathematical counterfactual-based framework for the sibling comparison design, and this includes explicitly stating all assumptions, both causal and statistical ones, that this study design relies on. And then afterwards we looked at 3 common choices of estimators used in applied sibling comparison designs, and then we investigated their properties under this formal counterfactual framework. And what we found was that if you use fixed effects or less estimation, as you often choose for numerical outcomes, then your estimate describes what happens to an individual when you intervene on their whole sibling group. So even though it is a causal effect on an individual, it relates to a group level intervention, and in that sense it's a bit different from what we're used to in randomized trials, but it is still rather straightforward to interpret. But if you use a conditional logistic regression model or a stratified Cox model, which are the typical choices for binary and survival outcomes, well, then it gets a bit more complicated. Because then your effect estimate not only describes an intervention on a sibling group, but it also the outcome for the whole sibling group. So it's type of group level causal effect, and it tells you something about what happens to a group when you intervene on a group. And at least to us, this is very difficult to really interpret, and especially to compare with more classical causal effects, as the one you would get from randomized trials. So in conclusion, we recommend some caution when interpreting the effects found in sibling comparison designs, especially if you use logistic or Cox regression, and our advice would definitely be to try to conduct your sibling comparison analysis with OLS estimation if it is somehow possible, because then you get something that's easier to interpret and compare with other studies. And yeah, do have a look at our article if you're interested in more details.